Hey there, welcome back to our channel. Here you'll find people who have had near-death experiences and other spiritual experiences. Today we're going to tell you about Laurie Coppola. She says she died and saw horrible things happening this year. Make sure to write your name and place of birth in the comments for luck. Let's hear what Laurie has to say.
I saw that there was no punishment or judgment waiting for me. Some faiths say that God judges people, but I think that my mind, which was now more awake and aware, was looking back at what I had done through the lens of pure, loving understanding. On my way back to the beach, I saw what looked like a huge rock in the distance, an island. At the very top of this island, a very white sun seemed to be talking to me directly, making everything about life very clear. A group of beings dressed in white came out of this light and followed a figure that stood out. What this person wore was so white and pretty that it almost seemed to glow. I saw a golden Maltese cross with a golden band around it on his chest as he floated down to me. He looked at me with such peace and calm. The last person in this group was my late father, who was also dressed in white. Over the phone, I asked him why he was still here after he had died. He told me that he was in the world of the living, and that I was in the world of the dead on earth. This really caught me off guard. Then I remembered that I had already left Earth and my 3 little kids. I begged the man with the beard to come back because my kids needed me. He let me go back because he agreed. All of a sudden, I was below the pictures to my left, where I could see a group of rocks sticking out into the water. I saw myself sitting on the biggest rock in the middle of the beach and the water. I was wearing a sheer white dress that looked like organza and had golden stars all over it. I was shocked when I learned I was pregnant, since my marriage wasn't going well, and I didn't want another child. After a while, a figure appeared out of the water. I could only see the top half of this young creature, but it was beautiful. It had light skin, big turquoise eyes, and curly golden hair. He smiled at me and told me he was my real husband through telepathy. He also sent me his love. Thinking about it, I realized that the greatest love we can feel in this life is the love we have for a small child. I felt so good that I could hear a voice in my heart saying, "Through love, you will understand everything. The essence, the essence, the essence." Following that, I felt a deep peace and joy in my soul. Because I now have a better understanding of the purpose of my life, I really do believe that my life is about to change for the better. I then looked up at the light in the sky, and an ancient force started to fill my thoughts with knowledge. I learned things that were hidden about how the world was made, my life, and the lives of all living things in all universes. I learned about spiritual life and its world, and I realized that the differences we see in life are because we don't know or remember this basic truth. In the light, there was only light. It was like a huge magnet pulled me in. I forgot I had a body and felt like I was one with the light. At that moment, I felt a deep sense of unity and clarity, and I understood what reality is really like. When my awareness woke up, I was able to understand everything perfectly and without any doubt. Finding out something I had always known but had forgotten was like finding out the truth. This discovery was so profound and complicated that it couldn't be put into normal language. At that moment, I felt like I had a hand in making the world and was an active part of the big picture of life. The magic new light seemed to shine on everything around me. Every tree leaf and beam of sunshine that made its way through the forest canopy shone with a clarity that seemed to come from another world. The winds whisper and the leaves rustle seemed to be talking to me about old secrets that I could understand without words. These times of deep understanding are like pieces of a bigger picture that I've been collecting all my life. I can feel them in my heart, like echoes of a great truth. I remember these aha moments very clearly, and I hold on to them as valuable guides for my journey. When I'm by myself, I like to think back on these clear moments. As I sit by a stream and watch the water flow forever, I'll feel deeply linked to everything. It's like every drop of water and rock in the riverbed is telling stories from long ago, stories of how things were made and how they changed. The thought of being a part of making the universe makes me feel very humble. I know I'm not very important in the big picture, but I also feel like I'm an important part of something very big. I can feel the knowledge of old trees as I walk through an old forest with trees that are so big, it would take several hugs to wrap around them. Each growth ring in their trunks looks like it holds memories from thousands of years ago, ready to be found by people with open hearts. Every day, these thoughts are with me in every breath and beating. I see things, talk to people, and find my place in this big, beautiful mess we call life very differently now that I know these things. They're not just memories. They're like beacons that show me the beauty and enigma of life. They've become important parts of who I am, and I know that as long as I keep learning and exploring, these aha moments will always be there, pushing me to live a full and worthwhile life. Here's what I've come to believe. 1. We're all connected. Our lives are a mix of similar and different things. Our world is both one and many at the same time. 2. We're all one. I am everything, and everything is me. We're all the same underneath the skin. 3. God is in everything, and everything is a part of God. There is no different outside God. It's like real life. 4. God's inside and outside. God is anywhere, not just us or the outside world. Like life itself, everything has a bit of God in it. 5. God is both everything and nothing. God is everything and nothing at the same time. It's like a shared dream that keeps playing over and over again until we get the real thing. Everything and everyone in the world is exactly where it should be. 7. Life is a game. Life is like a cosmic game, and when we accept true, unconditional love, we get closer to knowing what life is all about, being happy and wise. 8. Life's a loop. Because everything is part of God, each life is pretty much the same as the last. There is nothing besides God and life itself. 9. Death is a change. Another myth is that death is just a change in the game of time. Time and place are made up by our minds and are a trick on us. 10. We show reality. We show different parts and images of our reality, like mirrors. 11. Creation is always going on. The Creator is always making things, and learning to love consciously is one of the most important things He makes. This world is like a matrix inside a matrix, just like you learn to paint by painting. So yeah, these deep thoughts are like my guiding stars. They show me the way as I go through this amazing trip called life. So, picture this. It's like we're all living in one big video game where different levels of reality are stacked on top of each other. Every time we wake up, we learn something new. It's kind of like an endless game. I have this feeling that's really hard to describe, but here goes. Life is like a big, empty place that's full of endless, swirling things. Think of life as a huge, empty space filled with an infinite number of events that are always shifting and growing. Like there's no such thing as death, just different parts of the story of life that never ends. The best thing about life is living it with love and understanding. It's like a magical glue that holds everything together and lets us keep playing and making new ones for ourselves. Through short but exciting events, we keep changing into new people. It's like a cosmic game. The world we live in is a very small part of a much bigger, endless reality. There's a lot of cool stuff we've learned over the years that's hard to put into words. It felt like I had landed in a very heavy space when I came back to this life. My body and mind were both very slow. It was like having a foggy lens put over my loved ones. It looked like they were all parts of a big play. They were all here to learn and love more. People looked at me like I had 3 heads when I tried to tell them about my crazy experience. It became clear that they didn't understand what I meant. My powerful experience began to fade over time, but a lot of new and interesting things began to happen. There were times when I felt like I was outside of my body, telepathic conversations, and even unintentional bilocation, which is a fancy word for the fact that I sometimes find myself in 2 places at once. I still don't understand how this works and wish I could explain it better. From what I've learned, everything is like this endless pure consciousness, and our minds are all like a dream playground. It's as if the vast emptiness of the world comes to know itself here. I don't know how to explain it, but everything I saw seemed to come from a big pool of thoughts or a general mind. Things that happen and images that come into our clear, awake awareness are what make up our experiences. All of these experiences fit into the endless range of what is real, on every level of reality we can think of. After a few years, I was in another terrible accident and was very close to dying. When I fell into that huge void, my whole life flashed before my eyes. I wasn't scared. Instead, I felt a strange kind of calm. And then, out of the blue, I saw what would happen. I felt like I was watching the scariest movie ever, and what I saw shocked me. It was 2024, and everything was going crazy. First, I went to Japan, where people were having a New Year's party. Suddenly, the ground started shaking like crazy. There was a 7.5 magnitude earthquake, and then there was a huge wave. I was scared as I saw the waves destroy whole towns. Even though people tried to run away, the damage wouldn't stop. The next scene showed scholars talking about some old predictions from Nostradamus, as if he had known about all this crazy stuff hundreds of years ago. After that, I was taken to the Vatican, where Pope Francis looked very old and weak. I saw the cardinals rushing to pick a new pope after hearing the terrible news of his death. This change caused a big stir around the world, and it left the church in a state of uncertainty. After that, I was in Great Britain, where King Charles II was very sick with cancer. His face showed how hard it was for him to fight. When the news of his illness spread, it caused a lot of worry and confusion about the monarchy's future. To make things even more exciting, I saw Prince Harry return to London out of the blue to claim the throne. There was a lot of disagreement, and politics were a mess. Not only was there government chaos, but the weather was also messed up. Extreme droughts turned once fertile land into dry, sandy deserts. I saw rivers dry up and people fight over the last few drops of water. Floods were flooding cities and people lost everything in an instant. Extremely hot air in the sky made it look like the earth was rising up against us. Nostradamus had said that fields would burn and pools of blood would flow. It was like those words came true. Each picture shook my mind as I tried to make sense of what was happening. I read that 2024 will be one of the hottest years ever recorded by experts. It was like a bad story came true over and over again, disaster after disaster. It was so clear that I could almost feel like I was there, sweating from the heat, hearing the fear and seeing everything fall apart. After that, there was silence. I was back in that empty space, on the edge of life and death. The Bible talks about false predictions and how we need to figure out what's real and what's not. But during that event, everything felt so real and impossible to avoid. As soon as I got back, I felt compelled to tell someone what I had seen. It felt like someone had told me to let everyone know that Nostradamus's old predictions were coming true right in front of our eyes. If we know this, we can do what we want, but it's clear that the future I saw is a wake-up call. It's telling us to get ready for what's coming. I saw that June 30th could be a very important day for change. I believe I know something about the thing we call God. This quiet, hard-to-describe life force is in everything, and everything is in it. Picture steam turning into water, which then freezes into ice. When something turns into ice, it forgets that it was once steam that could spread. That's kind of like how we feel when we're in this state of mind. That's how God, or this global life force, is. A loving, quiet presence that is everywhere and makes up everything. We are all a part of a beautiful, eternal awareness. I think that all the pictures I saw before I went into the light are signs or ideas of something much greater. That would be like trying to explain a huge, important event using our tiny language, which is pretty hard, right? But I'm slowly putting it all together. My sense is getting stronger and my mind is working faster. It's hard to explain the endless with words we normally use. If you want to talk to other souls, empathy might be the way to go. I'm going to keep trying, and I hope to find someone who has been through the same thing or who has a clue about this word puzzle. Let's work together to make a better picture that could help people who can't read about it. I hope my rants haven't made anyone stupid. Think of it this way. You can make a single lump of clay into a lot of different shapes, but in the end, they are all just temporary shapes of nothing. That's all I have to say about my experience for today. What do you all think? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. I've had to deal with some unplanned and often tough problems since I began this journey, but I'm more determined than ever to understand what I went through and find other people who have been through the same things. When I want to give up, I remind myself that every little bit of work makes the picture bigger and better. I hope that this picture I'm drawing can help people who can't read in some way. There are a lot of people out there who have pieces to this puzzle and can add their own unique insights. It's not easy to find answers. Putting these pieces together makes me feel hopeful again. I can see a time in the future when all of our events will help us understand some very important and deep truths. I'm sorry if my efforts to explain have not been very clear. Words have power, but they also have bounds. I know what those limits are. On this hard path, every little step forward is a step in the right direction. Last but not least, I think that creation has an endless number of options. A single piece of clay can be shaped into a huge number of different shapes. Similarly, our minds can generate a huge number of thoughts, even if they only last for a short time. This makes me respect how beautiful and fragile our thoughts are. They come and go, leaving their mark on our hearts and minds. I would love to know what you all think about this. Your thoughts are very important to me and will help me decide what to do next. Leave your ideas and feelings in the space below. Have a safe and happy time until then. What did you think of this crazy trip? If you want to make sure you don't miss any new movies, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon. Tell everyone that life is more than what it seems.